Samach beis, first mimer, Vayiru Yisrael. So the mimer begins, Vayiru Yisrael Sayad Agdola. The Jewish people saw Hashem's strong arm, Asher Asa Havayim Mitzrayim, that Hashem did in Egypt. Vayiru Havayeh, and the people feared, they had reverence for Hashem. That they believed in Hashem and in Moshe. So we see here that it first talks about Yira, that they had reverence for Hashem, and then Emunah, then about their faith in Hashem. So why is that? Why is it that Yira comes first and then Emunah afterwards? Now, in the Yud Gimel Midas Rachmim, the introduction is Vayikra, and he called Hashem, and then goes on Kel Racham Chan, etc. So it says Hashem's name twice, and that's because there are two levels of Shem Havayeh, as we explained in the previous Maimarim, that every name of Hashem represents a certain spiritual energy, and Havayeh represents the Ur, the light, whereas other names the Kalim. So now, but within Havayeh itself, there are two levels. There's what's called Havayeh de La'ela and Havayeh de L'Sata, the higher level of Shem Havayeh and lower level of Shem Havayeh. So the lower level represents Hashem as he enlivened worlds, and that goes through a process of Yud, K, Vav, K, the four letters of Hashem's name. Yud is tzimtzum, a contraction, in order to then give over a limited energy to create another. Then Hey is hispashtus, is spreading out. Vav is bringing it down, and then once it's brought down, another Hey to spread it out again. So the lower level of Shem Havayeh is what brings worlds into existence from nothing into something. Now, what does it actually mean, from nothing into something? Above is not nothing, it's actually Hashem, it's even more powerful. But what we mean is that to us, we can't relate to it, we can't understand it. And therefore we can receive our highest, our energy and our existence from above through a tzimtzum and through a contraction. Therefore, above looks like nothing. And that is the Yud and Shem Havayeh, and then it continues to give with the Hey, etc., as we said, giving over highest. And the pasuk says, "Yahalu Shem Havayeh ki hu tziva v'nivro," to praise the name of Hashem because he commanded and they were created. So simply praise Hashem because he commanded, and then immediately when Hashem commands, let there be light and the sky and all the different things, so then they were all created. But at a deeper level, what we're saying is that tziva, that Hashem connects, that because tziva, besides meaning command, also in Chassidus it means more like tzav v'chibra, to connect, and then they were created. So this is not active, close creation like Shem Elokim would be, but still the creation itself comes from Shem Havayeh, at least in the passage that Hashem connects, and they were created. Now, just as in the low level of Shem Havayeh you have the four letters representing a four-step process, so too in the higher Shem Havayeh, which is just like when you, let's say with a person, when a person makes something, says the process when they actually make something, and then the process internally when they imagine, where they visualize themselves making that, doing that thing. So the first Shem Havayeh is like that idea of visualizing and wanting to make it, and then the second Shem Havayeh is actually making, and therefore the first Shem Havayeh is more removed from the worlds, because it's just about the concept of wanting to create it and visualizing that. And then, but you still go through the four steps. Now, the higher Shem Havayeh is called Alma Discussia, the hidden world, because it's beyond us. And when Paroh said, "Mi Havayeh," who is Hashem, what he was talking about at a higher level at a higher level, we could say Pari acknowledged Hashem, but only Hashem as he is involved in creation. But when he said Mi Havayeh, who is Hashem, and Lo Yadaiti is Havayeh, I don't know Hashem, he's talking about Havayeh de La'ela, the high level of Shem Havayeh, which is beyond worlds. Then, when the Jewish people left Egypt, it says, this is the pasuk we started with, that Vayiru Yisrael, that the Jewish people saw Hashem's strong arm, Asher Asa Havayeh b'Mitzrayim, that Hashem did in Egypt. So what we mean is that when we say Havayeh, we're talking about Havayeh de La'ela, the high level of Hashem, beyond worlds, and that is revealed through Mitzrayim. The idea of Mitzrayim is the sort of constriction and being in and bitterness, like Isaiah says that if you have a piece of wood that doesn't catch on fire, you have to chop it up and then it will catch on fire. So similarly, like it says in Tanya and Parachav Test, that if the neshama is not catching on fire, it's not getting excited, so then you have to knock it and then it will help. Because in order to reach Shem Havayeh, it's through Sur MeRah, through staying away from bad, and which this is the idea of bittul, and then also Vaaseh Tov. But either way, through Mitzrayim, through this constriction and bitterness and bittul, so then we reach a revelation of Havayah, of the high name of Hashem as he is beyond worlds. Now, it says that the Jewish people saw Hashem's great arm, and this happened at Kris Yam Suf, at the splitting of the sea, where the sea turned to dry land. So the sea represents Alma Discasia, the hidden world, like in general. On dry land, we can see all the different plants and trees and animals, whereas in the sea, you just see the water, but really underneath, there's all these, there's plants and there's the equivalents and animals and everything that there's on the dry land, there's also in the sea. But it's concealed. So it represents Alma Discasia, the hidden world. And whereas layabasha, the dry land, represents the revealed world, which is what we are aware of. And so when the Jewish people saw that the Yam, the sea, which represents the hidden dimensions from above, turned to dry land, so then they believed in it says that they believed in Hashem, meaning that they could see a revelation of Hashem as he is in the hidden world, in what's metaphorically called the sea, what is beyond, what we normally can't see into. And then it says that Vayiru, that the people feared Hashem, and Vayaminu, they believed. So when it talks about fear and reverence, that means that requires some understanding and appreciation. Like you can have reverence for a king, you're in the king's presence and you feel like nervous, I'm in front of someone great. So that's only when you appreciate something about the king. Whereas emunah, faith, is when you don't understand. So Yira, we're talking about the lower level of Shem Havayeh that they could appreciate and understand more about, whereas Emunah is about the high level of Shem Havayeh. And that's why in Shemini Esrei it says Hagadol, Hagibar, V'Hanoira, that in order to have Noira, in order that Hashem should be awesome, that his reverence should be upon us, there has to be first a Vav, V'Hanoira, in other words, to bring it down to us, so we're able to understand, and therefore we're able to have Yira, we're able to have reverence and awe for Hashem. And then it continues that the people believed in Hashem, uviMoshe avdo, and in his servant Moshe, because Moshe helps us to develop both our yira and our emunah, because Moshe is one of the 7 shepherds who give us faith, raya mehemna. And it also says about Moshe, b'chol beis ne'emanu, that in my house he is totally trustworthy. Hashem says again this idea of emunah, of trust and faith, and he brings together both levels of Shem Havayeh. And therefore the Gemara, when the Gemara asks, that Moshe says that all you have to do is have yira, and the Gemara asks, is yira something simple? And it answers yes, for Moshe it's something simple. So Moshe helps give us both emunah and yira, and then through Moshe we can reach the higher level of Havayeh de Leila. And therefore, at the Yam Suf, it's when Moshe tells the people, "Va'atem tacharishon," and you be mute, be quiet. Which this idea of quiet represents a level beyond revelation, beyond expression. That's also Alma Diskasya, the hidden world, which is Havayeh de Leila. Now, next paragraph, so when it says that when Mashiach comes, so we're going to cross a river by foot, and there we will rejoice. There we will rejoice in Hashem, because simcha is related to revelation and expression, and only when Mashiach comes, so then there'll be a gilui of Hashem, and then we'll be able to have full simcha. Whereas now, where there's concealment, so we can't have full simcha. What we can have is emunah. So when Mashiach comes in, there'll be ayin bayin yira. We'll see Hashem eye to eye. That alma diskasyo, the hidden world will no longer be hidden. In other words, we'll be able to connect, and it will be revealed to us what is naturally concealed. And that both Shem Havayos are revealed. Havayeh within the revealed world and Havayeh in the concealed world will both be then revealed to us. And so it says when Mashiach comes that the river will become 7 streams, and it will be a pathway for the remnants of the Jewish people, just as that when they left Egypt, meaning that there'll be a gili again of Alma Diskasya, revelation of the concealed world. And therefore it says, then we will rejoice, because where there's revelation and expression, then there is simcha as well. Whereas when in a state of concealment, then you don't have simcha. You can only have emunah, that even though we don't see, but we still trust. But now, although there's less gilu now, less revelation now, but now is the time to accomplish. And so this through Sur MeRah, through staying away from bad, which that's like a state of bittul, and where we can only admit, is like where we don't have revelation, only emunah. And therefore it says that someone who doesn't bow with moedim, so then he won't be able to. Sorry, so his spine becomes a snake. So the idea of bowing at moedim is the idea of bittul, even when we don't quite get it, and where Hashem's presence is not revealed to us, we just submit anyway. And so this is like the high. This is because we're tapping into something Shem Havayeh de Leila, and therefore it's beyond us. And this is why this world is greater than Olam Haba. It says that a moment of tshuva and good deeds in this world is greater than all of Olam Haba, because Olam Haba will only receiving a limited revelation of Hashem that we're able to take in, but it's limited. That's Shem Havayeh de Lasata. Whereas in this world, through a mitzvah, we tap into Havayeh de Leila, to the Havayeh above, although right now it's not yet revealed. So Moshe is the one who connects us to helps us so that we're able to touch Havayeh de Leila. That's why Moshe says Vayikra Hashem Hashem. Moshe calls out Havayeh Havayeh, meaning to connect to both levels of Shem Havayeh. And at the time of Kris Yam Suf, it says that the Jewish people sang to Hashem, Asher Havayeh ki ga'eh, which is how Hashem is beyond worlds, in Alma Diskasya, in the hidden world. And therefore, once the Jewish people were connected to this level of Hashem as he is beyond, and which is normally concealed, So they were so excited about being close to this and having a revelation of Shem Havayeh, which is to Le'ela, which is normally concealed, that they didn't want to leave, and therefore Moshe had to force them to leave. It says Vayasa that Moshe had forced them to travel away and to leave the Yam Suf, and then the first place they went was to Midbar Shur, the desert of Shur. Now this word Shur comes from the word seeing, which represents revelation, and then they continued on to Marah, so to Marah, which means bitter, because Hashem enlivens everything. It goes down all the way till Klippa. And then Hashem showed them a tree, which represents Eitz HaChaim, the tree of life. And then they continued traveling with altogether 42 journeys. This number 42 corresponds to, and the 42 journeys correspond to the Shem Mab, the name of Hashem connected to 42, which is also hinted in Ana B'Chayach. Which has the spheres 6 times 7, and all of this was accomplished through Moshe. So in short, we've got 2 levels. We've got Yira, which is in the reverence we're able to have for Havayeh de L'Sata, and then Emunah, Havayeh de L'Ela. And Moshe helps bring us to the high level to have both levels together. And ultimately, with Mashiach, we'll again have, like with Kris Yam Suf, a Gilui, a revelation of the higher Shem Havayeh, which is normally and naturally concealed. In the middle of Daf Samach beis. So the Maimah begins with Oz Yashir, with the song that Moshe and the Jewish people sang as they were leaving Egypt. It says Oz Yashir Moshe Bnei Yisrael, that then Moshe and the Jewish people sang as Asher Zeis, this song Vayiru Lashem Tashem Vayiru Lamer, and they said the following: Asher Lashem Kika Ega, I will sing to Hashem because he is very much exalted. Sur MeRah, the horse and its rider, Hashem has thrown into the sea. So first of all, we need to understand the idea of Kris Yam Suf, of the splitting of the sea spiritually. And especially since at a practical level, when you go from where they were in Egypt to Eretz Yisrael, there's no sea in between. There's no need for crossing the sea. And especially that Taisva says, that they left the water on the same side that they came in, and they didn't cross the water. So what was the purpose of the whole Kris Yam Suf? So the purpose is, like the pasuk says, V'yedu Mitzrayim Geni Hashem, that Egypt should know that I am Hashem. So we need to understand, it says that there was no survivors, that they were all drowned. So who knew, and how did it help to have this whole thing of Kris Yam Suf when there was no water in their way, and there were no survivors who would know Hashem? So what's the point of it? So the answer is that Mitzrayim is not just something that happened in the past, but Mitzrayim exists in all time and within every person. And therefore, each of us has the Exodus in every generation, and every person has the Exodus when he leaves his own personal internal Mitzrayim. And that's why we have to remember it each day. And Tosefta says this includes, we have to remember Kris Yam Suf, the splitting of the sea as well. So therefore, that too must be something which applies and happens within each person as well. So now we know, like it says in the beginning of Pirkei Avos, that there are 3 pillars upon which the world stands: Torah, Avoda, and Gemilas Chasadim. Torah, the service, which was Karbanis, and now it is replaced with davening, and Gemilas Chasadim, acts of kindness. So in the Beis Hamikdash, there was a fire that came down from heaven to burn the Karbanis and consume the Karbanis. Nowadays, we instead daven, and when we daven, we're also burning an animal. It's the animal inside us that it should be included in the fire above. and the fire is made of Ava, this great love of Hashem, which is Hashem gifts us with from above, inspires us with this love from above. So we need to understand. So where do we see in davening this idea of a fire coming down from above? So we say in the answer is that we say in Shemon each bracha concludes with Baruch Atah Hashem, blessed are you Hashem. So the idea of Baruch is to reveal and to bring down, and like we say this before Vayiru after the halukas before Vayiru Dovid, Baruch Hashem min olam v'ad olam, quoting the pasuk of Tehillim, that blessed are you Hashem, God of Israel, from world to world. And this from world to world means, like we explained in the previous Maimorim, that from Alma Discassia, from the hidden world, which is beyond our comprehension as a part of the physical world and part of creation. So from the hidden world to the revealed world. So the hidden world is Sovev Kalmim, and the Hashem's light as it is beyond and surrounds worlds, and the revealed world is Miamleh, is how Hashem's light fills the worlds. And like we know that Havayeh, that the same God who is beyond nature, Havayeh, is the same God who is within nature, Elokim. And so therefore when we talk about Hashem being the God of the revealed world, in other words, where we are, and then of the concealed world, which is beyond us and its pure godliness. So it's both Hashem, but what we have to do is bring down that light from beyond, from the hidden world, from Sovev, and bring it down into our space and our soul. And that's what we mean when we say Baruch, that we want to bring down from the hidden world, Alma Discassia, to the revealed world, to bring that down to us, that it should be in a way of Ata, where which means when someone's right in front of you, you can see them right in front of you. So Baruch Ata, bring it down so that this beyond, this Alma Discassia light, this from the hidden world light, that it should be Ata right in front of us and revealed. Next paragraph, uviMoshe. So the Gemara says that everything that there is in the sea, there's also in everything there's in dry land, there's also in the sea. So, for example, there's all the different plants and the different animals, and then you have similar plants and similar animals in the sea as well. So spiritually, what this means is that the hidden world, the sea is the Alma Discassia, the hidden world, and dry land is Alma Discassia, the revealed world. And the difference between them is that in the creations in the sea, all the vegetation and animals are not visible. All you see is the water at the top, which covers them. And also those plants and animals have to stay within the water in order to survive. On the other hand, the creations in the dry lands, so first of all, you can see them. They're not covered like water covers everything, all the life inside the water. And also, they're not living inside the ground. They're living above the ground. Unlike in water, that they're living inside the water. They need to stay inside the water. So even though the plants, they do receive their energy from the ground, they grow from the ground, but still they're growing out of the ground, and therefore they are more independent. And certainly animals even more independent. They don't even have to be connected to the ground. So this is like the difference between Alma Discassia and Alma Discassia, the hidden world and the concealed world. And in the hidden world, all the beings, all the creations are much more one with Hashem, whereas in the revealed world, so they creations feel more independence from Hashem. Now, the pasuk says, "Mibisari erselika," that from my flesh I can see Hashem. What that means is that when we look at ourselves, we have a better understanding of Hashem, and Hashem actually built us in certain ways so that we'll be able to connect to Hashem and understand about Hashem. So with people, there are these 5 levels of seichel, intellect, then midas, emotions, then machshava, dibur, and maaseh, thought, speech, and action. So the seichel is like our perspectives, our intellect, the way we think. Midas, our emotions. Then those intellect and emotions feed into thought, which then feeds into speech. We say things that we're thinking about, and then leads to action. So we have five levels. The intellect has 3, is made up of Chabad, and then Midas, Chagas, and Him, and then the 3 garments, thought, speech, and action. So altogether 5 levels that correspond to the 5 levels within the neshama, Naran Chai, and there are many levels that you can have go through the 5 levels of the neshama, Naran Chai, at a certain level, and then at the 5 levels again at a higher level. So because every person has a certain advantage, a certain quality over his friends, and some people, their avodas Hashem, the way they serve Hashem is in a state of closer nefesh, that they've got this powerful, strong yearning for Hashem to the extent they could just expire into this and just become part of this oneness with Hashem. And over the page at the top of the second side of Samach beis, the general levels are Alma Diskasia and Alma Diskalia, the hidden world and the revealed world. And these also mirror in people as well. So some of them are sourced in the hidden world, which is Sovev Kalmim, and others in the revealed world, which is Miamleh Kol Almin. So now Moshe came from beyond, from the hidden world, from Sovev, and that's why it says Kimin Amay Mishisihil, he was pulled from the waters, which the water represents Alma Diskasia, the hidden world, where all vegetation and animals are covered under the water. And so Moshe was pulled out from this beyond. And that's actually why, so because Moshe was from this high level, which is very much conscious and aware of Hashem as the only real thing, so that's why he said, V'nachnu ma, what are we? Had this total sense of bittul, of self-nullification. And that's also why he wasn't able to speak well, because since he came from this place beyond, so therefore he was not able to convey that. He wasn't able to convey that, give that over down here, because he was just in a state of total bittul to Hashem, because of this overpowering energy, because coming from Alma Diskasia, from the hidden world, and therefore he wasn't able to speak well. So the idea of a bracha is to bring down what is really beyond. That baruch, we should be able to bring down. The word baruch, to bless, means also to bring down. Ata, that it should be in a revealed way, that we can point and say you, and so we should bring it down, min olam ad olam, from world to world, that to bring Alma Diskasia down with its state of bittul, to that it should be revealed in Alma Diskalia, in the revealed world as well, for everyone. Next paragraph, ach. So this is all the avoda of Kohanim, that Kohanim are about hamshacha, bringing down Hashem's light into the world. But then we have the Leviim, and the Leviim, they had a different style. They were not bringing down Hashem's light, but they were trying to elevate up to Hashem and bringing up to Hashem. Like the pasuk says, Avoda Levi hu, that the Levi served hu, he. So why does it say Avoda Levi hu, this word he? That he is in third person. It also represents Alma Diskasia, the hidden world, that it shouldn't there shouldn't be Alma Disgaea, the revealed world, where things become separate from Hashem, but instead it should just remain in a state and should rise to a state of that the state where Hashem, He is the only one, and not Miamleh and not even Sovev, but just Hashem Himself. And this is the idea of the Levim, that they're always trying to rise higher and higher, rise beyond our Miamleh energy, what we can take into Sovev, to the beyond, and beyond that, Hashem Himself. And this is why the hallmark of the Levim service was song and instruments, because the idea of a song is just the outpouring of the heart and soul. That it's not that there's some new idea in the song. You could sing the same song many times, but the song just awakens the heart. And therefore, even if it's an old song, it can still be very impactful, because it's not about teaching new information. It's about connecting from the heart and soul. And the Levi therefore he tries to elevate beyond and to connect to Hashem Himself. You are Hashem alone, and this is like it says, that no mind can grasp Hashem. But how can Hashem be grasped? He could be grasped with the motion of the heart. That if something really matters to the depth of our hearts, and it's not only something superficial and makif, something that when it really matters, then it has an impact. You really touch Hashem because it's coming from the soul and heart, not from just our mind, which is more limited. So now this is the purpose of Psukei de Zimra. When we daven each morning in Shacharis, we say Psukei de Zimra, verses of a song to Hashem. So the idea is that it has to be like a song that when the person sings, so then it's more at length and with flowery words, and to inflame his heart, in order that he should be impacted, and he should care, he should be jolted, his emotionally jolted from it. On the other hand, when someone just reads verses, but it doesn't make a difference to him, it's not a song, it's just an academic exercise, so then it's not real avoda, it's not real service. This is the meaning of a shira l'Hashem ki go, sing to Hashem because He is very great. So the phrase starts off with Ashira, sing, and we're saying why sing? Because Hashem is exalted beyond being exalted. So God, just to be exalted, that would be Sovev, where Kula Kamei Kalach Hashiv, everything compared to Hashem is nothing. And then Ka'ai, that is exalted beyond exalted, is not even Sovev, but it's Hashem Himself, Hashem's essence. Like the pasuk Atohu Havayeh levadecha, you are Hashem alone. This is the state of being beyond worlds, and that's what we're trying to reach. The Levim reach through song. They're trying to reach to Makif and Sovev, and even beyond that to Etzem. Next paragraph. So as Yasha continues right at the beginning, Sus MeRah that the horse and its rider gets thrown into the sea. So now there's a pasuk in Tehillim, Kapitel Samach Vav, that it says, "Ein of Bakom Titzbena," that His eyes oversee the nations, Haserim, the rebellious ones, Al Yarum Lamei Selah. They will not exalt themselves ever. So we just had the pasuk of the horse and riders thrown into the sea, and now with this pasuk also about horses riding. So horses represent the osius, the words And just as the horse is bottled, it's not subservient before its rider, and the rider has full control of it. So to the letters, they're controlled by dibur. Sorry, they're controlled by the seichel, which dictates to it and leads to it. In other words, the letters, those are the words, and the speech, they're just the outer shell. And what the person's thinking inside, that's the inner core. So there's an advantage of the horse, that it's able to take the rider to a place where it wouldn't be able to get itself. So similarly with speech, it can lift the intellect, although speech is powered from the intellect. But when you speak, then you understand the idea better than before. So it lifts intellect to a place where it wouldn't get to by itself. And the same thing with when a person davens, even though when you're speaking the words of davening, it's only revealing something that you already had before. But still, repeating it has the advantage of becoming more internalized than otherwise possible. And this that happens both by davening and by an idea is all because of the advantage that the horse or the words give beyond the idea as it is in the mind. Now, we say in Kapitel Kuf Mem Zayin in Tehillim, which is in Psukei Zimra, the Leib and not with the strength of the horse does Hashem want, and not with the thigh of the man does Hashem desire. So what does Hashem want? Right, Hashem Hashem wants those who fear Him. So the horses, which is the words, that's connected to Gevurah, because the words have ideas, but a lot more limited than the passion and intensity of the ideas inside the mind and heart. So they're connected to Gevurah and symptom, contraction, and so then from this contraction and screens, that in order to create all different worlds with different limitations as they go down from world to world. And this all comes from Gevurah, because really everything is nothing compared to Hashem, and Hashem it just scans the entire existence in one shot. But it takes Gevurah to limit and to give each its own separate identity. This is the meaning of the phrase about this is with Rabbi Elazar ben Dodaya, that yesh koine lama b'sha'achas, that there are some who they acquire their world, the world to come, in one moment. So what does it mean spiritually? That yesh koine lama b'sha'achas, that all the pleasure that a creation can take in is all limited. Even if it's a spiritual pleasure of Gan Eden, it's still limited. So that's all yesh. That's all yesh, and existence, an ego. And like we say that the reward of tzaddikim, it says in the end of Mishnayos, is lahancho over yesh, to inherit for those who love, and then yesh, again, this idea of a yesh, a separate existence. And so the yesh, this separate existence, acquires his world in shah achas, which is just with one thought, with which Hashem creates worlds. And so that's the meaning of yesh kain lam shah achas, that the entire world comes from shah achas, just one thought, and of Hashem. And going back to the pasuk in Tehillim, Leib versus that Hashem doesn't desire the strength of the horse. Hashem is not looking for strength, which is of the horse, which is in dibur, and machshava, thought, and sorry, that Hashem isn't manifest within the letters of Dibur, of even of Torah by itself, and also ish, not with the thighs of man does Hashem desire either. This is thought, so which is needed in order to the thought that powers speech and action. So that's not what Hashem wants. What does Hashem want? Hashem wants yireyav, that he wants those who fear him, those who revere him with bittul, like Moshe, who said, that what are we? And this comes from the essence of the nefesh, the essence of the soul itself. And this same kapitel Tehillim says that what does Hashem want? Hashem wants those who fear him, who yearn for Hashem's kindness. So what do they want? They don't. It's not that when we say who desire Hashem's kindness, it's not that they need something for themselves. But rather that what they want is to bring down Hashem's kindness, Hashem's light to us. And this is the meaning of verse when we say Sur MeRah that the horse and the rider is thrown into the sea, meaning that the letters, which are the source of speech and thought, which of Alma Diskali, of the revealed world. So Rama, they were thrown into Yam, into the sea, which represents Alma Diskasi, of the hidden world. Like we said, that the sea covers everything within it. And so this is because Kigaiga, that Hashem is exceedingly high, meaning that he's even beyond the hidden world, beyond the revealed world, which is Miamleh, beyond the hidden world, which is Sovev and Makif, and rather there's Etzem, the essence, which is beyond both of them. And the problem is that when we tap into a state of Makifs, then the enemy also says, the enemy also says, I'm if I'm going to chase. And that's because at a state of Makif, darkness and light is the same. So therefore, arguably, it makes sense for the enemy to be able to chase us as well. So to avoid this bit, so it says that Einav going to Tepena Vaserim Yarum Lamay Sela, that the over Einav, his eyes are eyes over nations, Vaserim Yarum Lamay Sela. And those who rebel will not exalt themselves forever. So it says this pasuk in Tehillim Vav, right after the previous pasuk Vav, which says hafach layabasha, that he turned the sea into dry land. Benari Avaragel, in the river they crossed by foot. Sham nismach, there we rejoiced with him, or we will rejoice with him. Related to Kris Yam Suf and talking about how he oversees nations and blocks the rebellious ones. So this means that although Makif naturally lets everything in, darkness and light is all the same, but still Hashem blocks the those undeserving from reaching in. And instead that the water covers the enemies, and they're not able to rise. But Bnei Yisrael themselves, they continue into the dry land, like the pasuk says, Bnei Yisrael layabasha. It says in our parasha that Bnei Yisrael went on dry land into the sea. and the water was a wall for them on the right and the left. So when we talk about right and the left, that's because we've got these three pillars, and two of them on the right and the left, and then Torah in the middle. And we rise above Yisrael and Machshava. You didn't come from all the way from Hashem's thought. And so we say in our brachas, so whenever we say bracha, we say, who sanctified us through his mitzvahs, that the mitzvahs to lift us to the highest space. So we are able to makif this idea of yam, the sea, and bring it down into dry land, into our experience. Whereas those that just try to connect to makif without doing the hard yards, without doing the work themselves, so then they will find themselves blocked off, and that's the pasuk hasurim, the rebels. They're not going to be able to be successfully tap into makif, whereas we will be able to yam, and the horse and its rider is thrown up to the sea to Alma Discassia. So that is the idea of Kris Yam Suf, the idea of bringing Alma Discassia, the beyond light, into Alma Discassia, into the revealed world, and this comes from energy from beyond both of them. We spoke about the difference between Kohanim and Levim, Kohanim bringing down and Levim bringing up, and about how the sus, the horse, refers to Osius words that pass on the meaning within them and also reveal more meaning than what we would have otherwise.